I'm very excited to have with us Matt Altheim from the Danielle Smith campaign. Matt, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, conventional wisdom is your candidate has this. I'm not going to ask you to suggest a number, but internally, are you feeling confident?
You know, we're feeling the same place we did this morning. We're just excited to see the ballots all come in, and hopefully Danielle is given a strong mandate. That's what we believe she's worked hard in this campaign to get, and that's what we hope she gets.
Now, they've delayed the count. They say they just want to be very meticulous and everything's kosher. Do you have anything to say about that? Is that true? Is there a reason for the delay? Are you uncomfortable with it, or is it all just taking things methodically?
No, I think we all kind of expect some delays to happen. I know the federal campaign, you saw this as well with the Aaron O'Toole election victory. So I think you kind of expect these things to happen from time to time. It was a tight turnaround from noon today to 4:30 to get ballots kind of counted, and I think it was ambitious, but the party should get us rolling here by 7:30. We're here.
Now, one of the things that we've been talking about tonight with other independent journalists, like our friend Derek Hildebrand, the Western Standard, Rachel Emmanuel, she freelances for various outlets, is this has been a divisive campaign in a good way. It's divided on issues like the Sovereignty Act, pro or con, like there's real meaty conversations. But it dawns on me that it was sort of like a gang up on Danielle Smith on the Sovereignty Act. There was even this moment where there was a joint press conference by her competitors. How are you, and how is your candidate, if she's successful tonight, how are you going to stop the splitism that has plagued the right? Pierre Poilievre got a huge result on his first ballot. That sort of ended the talk of splitism. But there was that talk, you know, Jean Charest would balk or something. Didn't happen. Can you tell us, are you at liberty to tell us what your strategy is for pulling the team together to beat Rachel Notley? Because boy, Rachel Notley would love infighting if Danielle Smith won.
Yeah, she sure would. And I have to say, over the course of the campaign, I've seen my candidate reach out to MLAs, get a lot of endorsements, get two candidates to switch their endorsement. That almost never happens in campaign. So that's a testament to her ability to do one thing: listen. She's going to listen to her caucus. You know, she didn't write the Sovereignty Act. She gave a kind of a framework for it because she wants her caucus to come together and produce it and bring it together as a team. So she's very much a team builder. She's very, she's just great with people. Our campaign team's been proud to stand behind her and serve with her. So I think I've seen that with the MLAs. I've been a fly on the wall those conversations, and they've turned from a place of, I'm not so sure. By the end of that hour, they're like, I really actually like you, and I'd be proud to serve with behind you as an MLA.
Sheila?
A chance for the party to reinvigorate itself, to have new people join the party. Is that something that you're seeing with the campaign, or is it just, the same conservative diehards that are showing up to vote? Are you seeing an influx of new people to support your candidate?
No, I'm in Edmonton. Edmonton's a place that's always a little bit orange.
Too many socialists and mosquitoes, as Altheim once said.
There's a few mosquitoes there, yeah. But, I think we've seen Edmonton, the numbers we've seen is she's, throughout the campaign, she's pulled number one in Edmonton. And so she's doing quite well in places like that just because she's interesting, she's unique, and I think she's just super authentic and sincere what she says. So I think all those things just add up, and she has the ability to take these huge policy ideas and boil them down and address them to the common person to really get behind and understand. So she's a great orator. She can communicate well.
I got a question for you about what I call the media party. What I mean by that is the establishment media, the regime media. Maybe they're headquartered out east. Maybe they take government grants from Trudeau. So they're not sympathetic to conservatives at the best of times, and they certainly wouldn't be sympathetic to an Albertan using language like sovereignty. Mm-hmm. Now, in the one sense, who cares what the Toronto Star thinks? If the Toronto Star condemns Danielle Smith, she probably goes up in the polls here in Alberta. But when so many of the local newspapers and radio stations and TV stations are sort of run by the CBC, CTV Global, Post Media, how do you get around that bias? Or do you think that there's no bias? I mean, Danielle Smith spent a lot of time in the media. She worked for Post Media. She was on radio. So maybe she's of the media. But I think that both Rachel Emmanuel and Derek Hildebrand, who were sitting there before you, thought that the Eastern media is going to come at her with a but Yuri, what do you think? Am I being too pessimistic?
No, you're right on the ball there. Toronto Stars, they don't write nice columns about Danielle, and they're very, very hostile. And I think you're right. I think it helps us because whatever they're saying, whatever we're doing, obviously, we can counter that as Albertans. That's where we stand up. So, in terms of the media narrative, yeah, Danielle's been quite open and honest and transparent. In her time on radio, she felt she was being silenced and a little bit controlled by the media establishment class on the COVID, on the vaccines, all that sort of stuff. So she felt she was being silenced, and that's one of the reasons she decided to run, and that's one of the reasons she's in the race now.
Sheila.
Yeah, I had a question because, at some point, Danielle Smith, if she does become the premier, and I think that she's the obvious front runner favorite, she might find herself bristling up against a Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre, one day with her Sovereignty Act. How do you handle that?
Well, I mean, it could be up to 3 years from now until we see a Prime Minister Poilievre, which I hope we see very, very soon, sooner better than later. And I don't see them being hostile to one another. I think Pierre is very sympathetic to what Albertans feel. So I don't see the hostility there. I think they're work together in quite well. But that being said, we can't rely on a Prime Minister Poilievre. We have to focus on what's today. We have a Justin Trudeau Prime Minister who's very hostile to Alberta and our interests and our energy and our economy and all the things that we want to do and move forward with as a province. So we have to focus on there. That's where the fight is. Danielle's proven she's not afraid to have that fight. And I'm glad, Ezra, to see her Sovereignty Act already working out there as Tyler Shandro, the Justice Minister. Basically, yeah, I read your notes there. And so he basically used it. That was version 1 of the Sovereignty Act. Loved it. And I think it was as a happy surprise to see Saskatchewan and Manitoba just jump on board and say, you know what? We like this. We're in on this too.
You talked about Pierre Poilievre. One thing that I'm impressed with his style is he's using his own social media. He's recording his own videos on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, going straight to the people. In fact, he's being quite sparing. He doesn't sit down and do a heart-to-heart with Rosemary Barton and the CBC. Are there lessons from Pierre Poilievre? Are there lessons from Ron DeSantis and how he pushes back in the media? Is there a role model out there, or is there a new way that Danielle Smith is going to approach this hyper-partisan media world if she becomes premier?
Well, yeah, in the age of new media, you can flip your cell phone around and get to the public pretty quickly. And we've done that in the campaign quite a few times, and have videos and hundreds of thousands of views just by doing that. Just because it's an honest, sincere, off-the-cuff message, just from the heart. Usually, it's a breaking news story, so we don't have time to film a video or get a camera crew down there. So I think she has the ability to do that. I think she wants to have a good relationship with all media, including yourselves. I know she's a fan of the Rebel and True North and all these independents. So I think it's not to be hostile to anybody, to be open right now, to really communicate what she has to communicate and see if it can come across.
I know you're really pressed for time. Last question to you, Sheila.
Sure. I want to talk to you about the one thing that seems to be taking over the world right now, and that is the OPEC plus production cut. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see a lot of Jason Kenney doing anything about it. What's Danielle Smith going to do to, I don't know if you can repair a relationship in Washington, but sell Alberta in Washington in a very effective way, because that OPEC plus production cut, that 2 million barrels per day, Keystone XL was 830,000 a day.
You know what? It'd be interesting to see if the Keystone XL pipeline can be brought back. Obviously, I just feel for Europe. Look at Europe right now; they're going through a real tough winter here, and they're having to make new trade deals. And we saw Olaf Scholz come to Canada, basically saying, please, please, please sell us some of your great Canadian oil and natural gas, right? And he was told no, and there's no business case. And then literally a week later, Olaf Scholz is in the UAE and getting a business deal done. So we're losing that's pensions, that's jobs, that's livelihoods, that's hospitals, that's schools, that's all the things we want to build, and that's money to do it. And I think it's really disturbing to see a prime minister lead our country in that fashion. So we need to have a strong Premier Smith here in Alberta to lead our province and also Western Canada in a different fashion. I think she's shown herself to be quite a Western Canadian leader so far.
Well, Justin Trudeau doesn't do well with women he can't control. Right? Think of Jody Wilson-Raybould or Jane Philpott or Selena Cesar-Chauvin. Doesn't know really how to handle a woman who doesn't obey him. So that'll be interesting. Listen, Matt, thanks for stopping by. Congratulations on your campaign, which looks like it's on the precipice of success. And thanks for stopping by our humble studio on the riser here.
Well, just make sure you get one of those shirts, okay? All right.
Cheers. There you have
Take care.
it, Matt Altheim.